All right, Chaz Smith, welcome back. It's Thanksgiving week here on the Grit in America, November 22nd, 2020, November 22nd, 2023.
Happy Thanksgiving, David Lee Scales. Do you like it when people call it Turkey Day?
I don't care at all. I'm not
You don't.
offended
When
by
they
that.
say Happy Turkey Day, do you say Happy Turkey Day to you too?
No, I won't say it back. I'm not offended if they say it to me, but I generally say I use Thanksgiving as my
But
norm.
you're not a Turkey Day user.
Mm-mm.
That's good.
Well, it's easier with the 2-year-old to tell him it's related to a turkey than getting him to say the word Thanksgiving.
How did it become Turkey Day? I mean, I understand that's what we eat, but that seems like a real crass boiled down like it seems real rude, to be honest, to call it Turkey Day.
Like as if you would call Christmas based on the
Yeah, like
meal,
or like yeah, Christmas is like wrapping day or something, present
or
day.
or Easter we don't call ham day.
Yeah, no, yeah, to call it's so true. If Easter was ham day, imagine the offense.
And people would be so confused if you're like, "Hey, are you celebrating Ham Day? God's resurrection? Are you celebrating Jesus's
We
resurrection on Ham
we
Day?
should we could start ham day. I wonder if we could get ham day trending.
Ham
How
Day."
did how did ham become the Easter thing?
Great question, right? Because it's not the animal associated with the day. You think we'd all be cooking
No.
rabbits?
Yeah, and there's no story about yeah, like, anything to do with ham on Easter Sunday.
As Jesus was was resurrecting.
They ate a ham meal
Yeah, there was a pig nearby by the opening of there's
and
no
they
connection whatsoever.
zero. But on
Jesus's
that note,
favorite food was bacon, and so
was
therefore
on that note, do you prefer a ham or a turkey?
great
Both
question.
both well done. Let's say in their principal form, a ham or a turkey.
Meaning properly done, not well
Yeah,
done.
properly. Yeah, no, not well done, but like exactly right.
Um, just on the face of it, ham.
Yes.
But because I eat ham throughout the year, this is the one day a year where I get turkey. For Thanksgiving, I prefer a turkey.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I like to be honest when there's both. I love when
Yeah.
you show up and there is a ham and a turkey. Get a couple pieces of turkey, couple pieces of ham, you're set.
Well, this gets to a deeper conversation because to me, Thanksgiving can get way too convoluted, especially if it's a potluck. Everybody brings something, then there's 20 dishes. You have a plate. There's really only room on your plate for 4 properly portioned dishes, but instead you pile on all this stuff and it becomes like when you go to the buffet and you end
Yeah.
up with a little bit of crab and a little bit of ribeye and a little bit, and none of it goes together. You know what I mean? So I'd rather have there be
A curated meal.
a curated meal, an organized theme. The host of the potluck designates, we don't need 5 different mashed potatoes. We need one. So you do mashed
Yeah.
potatoes, you do a green, you do the tangy cranberry that cuts through all the fat. And that's what I want on my plate. Not too much.
Do you ever show up to a Thanksgiving potluck and the person who got designated, the person who thinks they make a really good mashed potato, and you dig in and you think, oh man, this mashed potato is garbage. It is dry. It tastes like it's out of a box. Why did you think you made good mashed potatoes and raise your hand for that one? Frustrating.
Of course I do. I have strong opinions about food and I judge everybody quietly. Try not to make it too obvious. Where the biggest offense to me is where somebody is allocated something that they are known for. Let's say they're a great baker. So they go put their heart and their effort into making these incredible homemade pies. But then somebody else who's just trying to, be nice brings a couple of
Brings a
store-bought
store-bought.
desserts. Yeah. So like
Yeah.
maybe that person's allocated the salad. So they do bring a salad, but they're like, oh, you know what? I'll just bring a pumpkin pie as well from the store. Well, that steps on the toes of the person who is allocated and actually made the effort to go through and do that homemade version. And it's all muddied the water.
It is so true. And also, it really blows the scale out. When you are judging that heartfelt homemade pie against itself, like then I mean, that's the appropriate way to judge that thing. When you're judging against a store-bought thing, everything goes weird.
Totally. Yeah. You need the
Slipping sideways.
focus. You need the focus on the homemade one and full appreciation to go into that.
Yeah. Well, we were going to muddy the water, but I think this plan just got pulled. We were going to muddy the water by throwing a Peking duck alongside the turkey as well as an offering. But
Wow.
I think that just got kiboshed.
Do you guys make a good Peking duck? Is that like what you're known for?
Nope. I was going to
Okay.
go pick the Peking duck up on Convoy Street here in San Diego. Are you aware of Convoy Street, David
No.
Lucius? Convoy Street, and it even says it. It's right. I mean, the Daughters Ballet is just off Convoy Street, but Convoy Street and the sign says this, and I always think is that sign offensive? But it's an official city sign when you get off the freeway there in San Diego, and it says, I think, Asian Food District, which it is. I mean, this is where all the best Chinese, Thai, Korean, you name it, Pan Asian restaurants are. So it's going to go into one of them that is known for their Peking duck and snag one.
Got it. Something though that's hard to keep good for a long period of time. It can dry
Thing is,
out if
though,
you try to reheat it.
they're open Thanksgiving. So I was gonna go in the back door Thanksgiving afternoon, snag one. I think they close at 3, but again, kiboshed,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Well, let's get into more Thanksgiving. Now, I know obviously it's an American holiday, but do other countries around the world have a designated holiday to be thankful?
Uh, Canada has a version, I think, but I maybe it's their 4th of July and Thanksgiving all rolled into one. And then they have Truth and Reconciliation Day where the prime minister gets to go surfing. But yeah, I'm not aware of other cultures where it's a whole day to be thankful.
Yeah, I mean, I know some celebrate the origin of the country or the birth or the independence and all that sort of stuff, but the designation just to be a reminder to be thankful, I think is a unique thing.
Do you think Thanksgiving is safe from cancellation at this point?
Yeah, I think so.
You think it's past. You think, like, as long as you're not showing the gentle Indian sitting down with the benevolent pilgrim at your Thanksgiving table, you're fine. If you're
I think the
just if that's all gone now, we're not that didn't we're just thankful in
I,
general.
I think like 20 years ago, the PR team for Thanksgiving got together and decided to
Let's
distance
minimize that.
yeah,
Yeah.
distance the association from stealing of the land and focus more on gratitude. Because when I was a child, it was absolutely focused on
That
Indians
was
and
central.
pilgrims. That was
Indian
that
it
was the
was school
visuals.
plays.
Yeah,
It was
absolutely.
half the class, half the white class would dress up as Indians, the other half would dress up as pilgrims, and you would remake the beautiful feast where the wonderful, kind Indians taught the pilgrims how to eat.
And the pilgrims introduced firearms to the exchange.
And
And,
syphilis and booze.
and so I think at a certain point, yeah, about 20 years ago, somebody said, you know, instead of continuing to whitewash the history, let's just kind of ignore or focus on the
The
gratitude
family.
element.
Yeah.
And then I think now it's safe from cancellation.
Okay. So dodged a
Yeah.
bullet there. I just
Well,
read I just read today on a similar but totally unrelated note, a museum in speaking of cancellation, a museum in England has officially changed one of the Roman emperors to be a trans woman, they think. And so now that emperor has she, her pronouns and is recognized in their LGBTQ wing or something like that of the museum. Who knew?
so they're just interpreting the textbooks a little bit differently than they were interpreted previously.
Yeah, they apparently this emperor had 4 wives and then one husband at the end or something, and then referred, I don't know if she referred to herself as a queen, but somebody referred to her as the queen. And so they said, okay, well, she's LGBTQ. She was a trans woman. But then others say, well, people used she, her pronouns then for males in order, especially rulers, in order to demean them. So,
Mm.
but yeah, in any case, I felt, wow, like if we're really moving along here, if we're now like categorizing emperors from the past as trans.
Fascinating. It's
Yeah.
very difficult to take a modern lens and
Yeah.
and not only view history that way, but then to try to interpret the way that history's lens was viewing themselves
Yeah. I mean,
through our lens, it's a lot of refractions that's going to happen through those lenses.
that was precisely the initial person was like, we respect pronouns. And so we owe it to them to respect their pronouns too in the past, where
Right.
refractions is right. How do you know? But anyway, yeah, Thanksgiving.
Well, look, my first advice I'm going to give you for Thanksgiving is start the day with drinkag1.com/surf, because you want a bedrock of green underneath all of the brown that you're going to put on top of the beige colored foods and gravy that's going to be ladled on top of it. So drinkag1.com/surf, kick off the day right.
If you don't have a drinkag1.com/surf subscription yet, now of all times is the time to do it. This Thanksgiving is not alone in its, like, let's say, excess. We are entering excess season where there is going to be, so you're going to do Thanksgiving, yes, then you're going to pile on something for Black Friday. You're going to just say, man, I'm already behind the ball here. And so you are going to power through the week until you get to Monday, and you're going to feel really bad. And then you're going to say, well, it's just already real bad. And you're going to keep powering until Christmas. Get your ag1.com/surf subscription, and at least you will balance the opposites.
Exactly. It's beyond Christmas even. You're just going to point at January 1st and be like, that's when the diet starts. I'm giving everything up, or I'm going to just imbibe and participate in everything until then, essentially. Yep. So that's okay. We understand it. It's a season of indulgence, but get the foundational nutrition in every day first, because not only do you need those nutrients, but it's great for the immune system. It's great for the gut. You'll feel better. You'll have more energy. You'll sleep better, all that stuff.
When you order ag1.com/surf, how long, drink ag1.com/surf, how long does it take to arrive at your door? Do you know?
Like if they place an order today, I don't know. I mean, it ships quickly. I don't know if it'll be there within 3 days or 1 week, but within a week for sure.
That's what I'm getting at here. It's not like, oh, okay, I'm on the subscription plan and now I got to wait a month or a month and a half. You will be prepared for the next indulgence.
When I re-up you or need to re-up myself in between normal shipments, I feel like it's 2 days.
Yeah. So get on it.
Yeah, get on it. Anyways, drinkag1.com/surf. We obviously give advice here often. And when it comes to these holidays, we try to give people ample time to prep, like Valentine's Day sneaks up on you, Mother's Day sneaks up on you, and you don't want to be scrambling, trying to come up with some half-ass gift. So what I'm going to suggest, I know we have only 1 day, but this is ample time for this exercise.
Yes. Good.
You will be at a table, and the odds are that your mother-in-law at some point will say, let's go around the table and say what we're thankful for. So you and I right now need to give people advice for what they are going to say in that moment to sound like they are earnest and heartfelt, but without sounding cheesy. Because it's one thing, ultimately everybody's default, because nobody preps for this question, is I'm just thankful for family. I'm grateful for all of you who are around this table right now, which then ruins it for the other 8 people around the table, because they can't just recycle what you said. They have to come up with something on the spot. Kind of ruins the meal for everybody.
Completely.
So we need to give advice. How do you navigate this question?
I've got one, David Lee Scales.
Okay.
I think what you want in this moment, everybody is expecting, I am thankful for health. I am thankful for my family. I'm thankful for love. And this year of all years, especially, right? World is crazy. Wars everywhere. Just a real gnarly time. So people are going to say, I'm really thankful for that we, if we're not in a war, that we have peace here in this country and all our differences. And, there's going to be a lot of that going on. I think part of this, you want to get people to think, though. People are not going to think that. That's what they're expecting to hear. That's what they're expecting people to say. So nobody ever stops and pauses and ponders, I think what people should be thankful for this year is surf podcasts. I think when it comes to you around the table and you say, we live in a time where there's a lot of quality surf podcasts. And I'm not saying just this one. You could, for sure, be thankful for the grit, and we are thankful for you. But you can also say, I'm thankful for Surf Splendor. I'm thankful for Scott Bass is one. What's that one called again?
Spit in the boardroom show.
Yeah. Yep. Spit and the boardroom show. I'm thankful for Jed Smith and
Vaughn
Blakey's one.
Blakey. Ain't
Yep.
that swell?
Ain't that swell? We live in a bountiful time of surf podcasts, and I think you'll get everybody around the table to stop and think and say, huh, that's true. We do have a lot to be thankful for when it comes to surf podcasts.
I like
Subtle.
it. Like, we're here with them every single week, not just one holiday out of the year, not just around a table every once in a while. We're here doing the work weekly, providing these insights.
Yep, with you weekly. And I think you'll get people to really, and around the table, they don't have to necessarily be thankful for surf podcasts, but it'll get them to think about the little things in life, the things that they maybe take for granted. I think that's when Thanksgiving is best, right? Of course, you're thankful for the big stuff. You're thankful, obviously, that goes without saying. And by goes without saying, mean it should go without saying, right? You shouldn't need to say, I'm thankful for my family. Duh.
Yeah.
If you're not thankful for your family, you got a major malfunction going on. Or a really bad family. But the little things, the surf podcast, what other little thing in your life, David Lee, are you thankful for that you don't express gratitude for enough?
Healthy teeth.
Yeah. See, if you dropped that one at the table, you'd really get people to pause and think. If you said, I'm really thankful for the strength of my enamel. I was both blessed with it, and also I do really take care. I go to the dentist, and I'm just thankful for that.
I mean, it is something to be thankful for, because if that goes south, you are very unhappy. That's a lot of pain to deal with. That'd be interesting. This is an interesting tact, because the obvious stuff is cheesy and insincere, but it's expected. Like, if you don't say it, I feel like they will be miffed. If it comes to you and you don't say the obligatory, I'm grateful for you guys right here. If you went with something that was true, but not related to them in any way, like everybody goes around and says loving things about one another, and then it gets to you and you're just like, I sit in traffic every day, and I listen to a surf podcast, and that provides me with daily and weekly joy and enrichment in my life. Anyways, on to you, Grandma.
Yeah, exactly.
You would just be like, what?
Yeah, but I would like somebody to do this, just to see and report back. I'm going to do it too. I'm going to drop something insignificant in my life that I'm genuinely thankful for every day. Like, I'm really thankful for my running shoes right now. I got a nice pair of squishy Nikes, and they make running feel nice. And so that I'm thankful for my Nike Air Zooms, or whatever they're called.
A little pain in my knee went away.
Yeah.
So I'm good to go now.
Yeah, I can run. It's feeling good.
Moving on. Who's next?
I'm thankful for Sticky Bump Surf Wax, cool water. The fact that I don't have to use base coat on it.
That would
be that Ron.
People would be miffed. I guarantee you. Somebody would take it personal, like, because it's not about them.
But I think you can blanket, of course, at the start. You can throw the blanket. Of course, I'm so thankful for all of you. But and you could use my words, even say that goes without saying. Just say, the love that I have for all of you is so big and great. We don't need to speak it. Here's a little thing though. I'm thankful for vitamin C, like the flavored kind, the little one that you chew, because it tastes good, and you're also getting vitamin C.
Yep. It's a simple thing. In your teeth, though. Simple thing, and I don't overlook the simple things. I'm grateful for all of the little things in my life. So I was thinking that part of the reason why I'm grateful for all of you here has no value or meaning anymore is because it took no forethought. And so forethought is really what the meat and the bulk of the value is. And so what I was thinking about, instead of just saying it in the moment, why not write it down? Everybody loves a handwritten card. A handwritten card goes a long way. What if you today or tomorrow morning write down, who's going to be there? You know what the guest list is. Write down individual cards with what you're grateful for. One sentence, doesn't have to be long. And then seal those, put them in your pocket. And when it goes around the table and gets to you, and they go, what are you thankful for? You don't say a word. You pull out 12 cards and you just hand them to each person, and it's dead silent. And they are astonished. And each of them open their card, and they have an individual response directed at them. tears would flow.
That's better than being thankful. That's true. That's better than being thankful for surf podcasts. I think tears would guarantee you would be king or queen of Turkey Day
forevermore. Like grandma will refer to this for the rest of her days. The
there
lore will live on through your children's telling of it, and the only thing is it just took a little bit of effort and foresight and thoughtfulness in advance. That's the key.
Because you could literally say things that were fairly mundane in your thank you note. The fact that it's written down, like you could say to the wife, I'm so thankful that, you just stick with me through good times and bad times. You could like put basically song lyrics in there for everyone. You could just flip open the Elton John playbook and just pick random lines and throw it in there, and it would still, maybe Elton John wouldn't bring the tears, but people would be thankful.
Grandma's like, grateful for Philadelphia freedom? What does this mean? You loved that tennis team from the 70s? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Well, good. This is our advice. You guys run with it if you want. We're curious to hear how this all goes, but you're welcome. Whether you
either way, like I want reports back from people saying they're thankful for the things they're actually thankful for every day, like the small things. Yeah. And I also want the person to really go and like home run and go with the cards around the table. Report back and count how many tears do you see on this Thanksgiving based on your delivery. And by the way, call into the listener line. Let us know and we'll play your call next week. The listener line is 1-760-237-0150. You can find it on surfsplendorpodcast.com under the contact tab. Do you dress for the occasion? I will. Yeah, I'll try to, definitely not just like street clothes, right? Like it is a thought out outfit.
It's not, you can't go too, you're not going to wear a suit. You know what I mean?
No.
Like it can be dressed up, but not fancy. And it also generally has to go muted tones, right? Like
yes.
There's a certain color scheme, I think, that matters more than anything.
Definitely. No, if you wear like a lightning blue suit out or to a Thanksgiving, I feel you can wear a suit if you're going out to somebody's house for Thanksgiving, even though that's kind of weird. Though you're exactly right, because a suit is an event thing, and while Thanksgiving is an event, it's 9 times out of 10 an event in somebody's home. That's it. If you're going to a restaurant for Thanksgiving, wear a suit. If you are going to somebody's house, wear your nice church clothes, I suppose.
It's more about comfort. I feel like the holiday is based around comfort. And so you want to wear something that is slightly dressed up, but you see a lot of sweaters, I guess.
Yeah. Sweaters and collars. But sweaters and collars is, like I'll say this, the Thanksgiving fashion is bad by and large, right? Because you're right. People wear their stretchy pants. They legit do, or not the sweats, but they wear a pant which is disgusting concept out of the gate. I'm going to wear a pant that will not constrict my stomach because I'm planning on gorging so much.
Yeah, exactly. You're right, though. There needs to be a lot stronger. The turkey people branded the holiday real strong, but everything else kind of fell short. Like all the support team around Thanksgiving could work harder. There's no Thanksgiving music that you can think of.
Nothing. People inevitably, people are going to say, hey, Google, play easy jazz on Spotify.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to get.
Yeah. And then there's the decorating of the house is literally for a day, maybe a week, as opposed to the month that Halloween gets or that Christmas gets. So I feel like next year, try harder. Thanksgiving's PR team.
Maybe it's time again to dress up like pilgrims. They had a nice thing going. I mean, maybe they knew what they were doing with a big buckle on the shoe, kind of a legging underneath a pantaloon, I feel. Hat that is like round that you take off when you come in. Jacket. I think the pilgrims might have been onto something. And we threw that baby out with the bathwater.
I think so. That got thrown out. All right. Well, we got a couple of feedback notes from last week. We got a call. I'm not going to play it for you, but Kevin Kraft in Oceanside said that he's been surfing forever, daily surfer since he was 12, peed in his wetsuit, every single session up until about 10 years ago when he realized it was deteriorating his wetsuit at a faster rate than if he didn't pee in it. And so he has a family. He can't surf in the mornings. He generally surfs on his work lunch break and doesn't have time to rinse out his wetsuit thoroughly until maybe he gets home. So that few hours of pee sitting in the wetsuit without being
just
fully washed, rotting the wetsuit, deteriorating it. So he has to, if he doesn't pee in his suit, he learned he gets more life out of the suit.
Wow. Well, that is some interesting feedback, I'm going to say. I never even thought about that. It makes me wonder what Kevin is eating and drinking. Is he eating like hot peppers and drinking straight whiskey all day, every day? Like,
dude, if you drink your AG1, you got some neon pee.
Yeah, you'll be okay though. I feel AG1 will even protect your wetsuit. But that is something I've never thought about, but definitely something to think about.
Well, I'm not limited by his time schedule personally. And so I rinse out my wetsuit within 40 minutes of any given session, and I rinse it out thoroughly with fresh water. So I don't think I'm as affected.
Man, I'm a real lazy wetsuit rinser. I will come home from the surf, often still in wetsuit and tennis shoes on, and then march out to the outdoor shower. It's zipped down, my wetsuit. And so I do like just get the lower half kind of with like a spin in the shower, and that's it. That's my rinse. It's not very good.
No, it's not. You've probably been the beneficiary of getting free wetsuits for a long time. And so so it doesn't really matter. But when you're paying for a wetsuit every season, it matters.
Yeah.
Another note of feedback on our YouTube video. If anybody wants to watch this on YouTube, go find us there. Somebody left a comment on that video and said, I consider this podcast an epic fail because there was no tour of the disintegrating cardboard pile given nor discussed.
Oh, I could have even given one. And we could have discussed it. I'm sure I'm trying a whole new thing too now. Like I've progressed beyond just cardboard. I'm also trying particle board furniture. You know, particle board furniture? Like 6 months ago or something now, daughter and friend, there was like a free thing down the street. It was like a particle board cabinet thing. And they brought it home for some unknown reason. I was watching them do it. They were like, went and got 2 skateboards, and like it was a whole ordeal. It was like a 30 or 40-minute chore. And so I was just watching them amused, knowing this thing was going to come to my house and I was going to have to deal with it. But you know, it was like 40 minutes of fun for them. So they got it home. Whatever. I put it over by the trash cans. The wife will yell at me about it every other trash day. It's still sitting there, and the work is being done. The particles, like it's all delaminating now. It's falling in on itself. I figure another year and a half, and that thing I'll be able to like karate chop it and break it into pieces with my bare hands.
I think so. It erodes from the edges inward. You could probably chip off an edge right now and throw it in the trash can. So that to quell her complaint, you should break off pieces every single week and dispatch it
slowly. Yeah,
exactly.
But the sun and the elements are doing their work just like they do cardboard. I also have a wooden cabinet out there that is also, or it's maybe a chair. Yeah, it's a wooden chair out there and that's a lot slower. The process for wood is a lot slower than particle board. Particle board, we're a go though.
That is so funny. So a couple of weeks ago, somebody posted a video on Instagram, and then everybody sent it to me. A bunch of listeners sent it to me, and it was a guy giving a hack for how to break down cardboard. And as opposed to you leaving it out in the sun and rain to disintegrate over a long period of time, he just busted the water hose on it, hosed everything down so that it was fully saturated, and then folded it up. So it wasn't like hose it down and then wait 2 or 3 days and let it break down through the elements. It was just hose it down, get it soaking wet, roll it up or fold it up, and then throw it in a lot real heavy, smaller. Though. Yeah, I was thinking that too. Like it'll create funk in your trash can too. Like once that does its thing.
For sure. But the elements, I'm telling you, the natural way is the right way. Yeah. You can never beat nature. Nature is batting 1,000.
Totally. As evidenced by the wave pool conversations over the last couple of years. Another email came through and said, subject line said MCGA exclamation point. Do you have any idea what MCGA would stand for?
No.
Good day, gents.
More core.
There had been a notion to make Chaz great again.
Yes.
I think Chaz has become more grit than ever. His old grit was like a used piece of sandpaper you find in your father's garage. It still was somewhat abrasive, but it's creased and malformed. Might get the point across, but took a bit of cajoling and probably lost or probably did not convert any new fans along the way. But this new grit is profound, wrapped in lucid thought, and would certainly surpass the levels of even the sturdiest of 3M testers. I know Chaz ain't no insert qualified profession here, but Chaz is dripping in common sense, which if there were a retrospective doctorate that could be awarded, Chaz would be well fitted for such a title. I would also support a new notion of Chaz as president for whenever the next presidential race begins. I'm in Australia, so I have no idea when that would be. Keep work. Cheers, Josh.
Wow, Josh. I've never been complimented so greatly ever in my life. So undeservedly complimented.
Yep. I feel like started out gritty, and then abandoned it for a while, got soft, and now the grittiness has returned. But as he stated, a bit more thoughtful, a bit more pointed, and a bit more critical thinking to back all of it up.
The common sense in this day and age, gone out the window with the Pilgrims and the Indians, is so bizarre to me that like any amount of critical thinking, any amount of sitting down and pondering something from one side and the other, and drawing a conclusion that's not wildly insane that you're going to like shove into somebody's eyeball is like, where did common sense, sort of common decency, critical thinking, it's all totally gone. And it's weird that that's what went. I don't know how do people feel good when they're just perpetually wound up on one side or the other of anything?
Yeah, maybe they do. I think that it's activating like intensity pleasure sensors in their brain that they're otherwise not activating. Like people live boring lives. I mean, look, everybody was told to go to school, get jobs for security. So a bunch of people are sitting in an office in a job that they don't like. They don't have passion in their life. They opted for safety and comfort and security, but then gave up all of the excitement that comes with living a risky life and lifestyle. And so, yes, getting into some intense argument with somebody online or anywhere is the version of risk for them, you know?
Yeah, I suppose so. And feeling like about things that don't even involve like wars across the sea and stuff, where are very, very, very important to think about and read about and know about and all this. But in terms of, yeah, people having, ooh, I just know 100% of all the truth there is here, and I'm going to burn anyone who does not agree or think exactly like I think.
Yeah. Well, common
Weird time.
sense. Common sense by contrast just isn't sexy. Like it's
Yeah,
not salacious. And so it's become less interesting. And so you gravitate, if you're watching the news or clicking on an article, you want to see the clickbaitiest, the most extreme, like you're looking for that, because common sense just falls somewhere in the middle of white noise and it's like, don't want it. But
I wonder though in this day and age if the extremes have become so dominant that like when I read something commonsensical or something with, that's critically thought, it is so refreshing when somebody's not just like beating a weird drum, when somebody is, thoroughly pondering an issue and coming to a conclusion that is, whether you agree or disagree, is critically sound, is like,
well, that's now the outlier.
yeah,
Like
that's
that used to be the norm. And then we look to the outliers, but now there's so much chaos and extreme stuff that the common sense is now the outlier somehow.
maybe common sense could be something brought up around the Thanksgiving table, is you could just drop some real common sense about like, I'm thankful for, I don't know, people who change their windshield wiper blades every 6 months.
Um, I was listening. There's this podcast I listened to, and they'd been interviewing some presidential candidates for the upcoming election next year. And there's this one guy, I'd never heard of him before. His name's Dean Phillips. I think
Dean Phillips.
Do you know who he is?
Nope.
I think he's a representative out of Minnesota or something like that. Anyways, loved him. I'm like, gosh, this guy's so smart. He was born an orphan, but fully acknowledge it. And like his single mom, I guess the mom who adopted him was single and lived with her grandparents. So kind of born into like this, challenging situation. But he admits super grateful and lucky that he got his mom met a wealthy dude who then he became part of that family, and he's had a lot of opportunity and access through that life and growing up. I think that was probably at a young age for him. So anyways, he had a lot of access, but was born into a bad situation. He invented Belvedere vodka.
Oh, what?
He invented
Are you kidding me?
No. So self-made is my point, right?
Yeah.
Belvedere vodka, Talenti ice cream. He invented
that's
that
a good
too.
ice cream.
Great ice cream, right? So anyways, he's got this amazing backstory, amazing business acumen, made a ton of money, blah, blah, blah. I'm really impressed by the guy. And then I go and Google, like, oh, I wonder what he looks like. As soon as I see one picture of him, I go, oh, he'll never win. He'll never win the presidency. Like, despite how impressive he is on a podcast, if you were to see him delivering these visually, there's something unfortunately so overwhelming about about aesthetic that influences the way that you interpret the information. You know what I mean? And he's not like, I'm not even suggesting that like all presidents were good looking in the past or anything like that, but there's a certain charisma that you either do or don't have visually that somehow overarches the words that are coming out of your mouth,
But what I hear you saying is he invented Belvedere vodka. I think that, what's his name? Josh Green?
Dean Phillips.
How did I get that so wrong?
I don't know.
I think we, for the first time in our podcasting history, should endorse a political candidate this year for president of the United States. And I'm so far from what I hear about Dean Phillips, Talenti ice cream and Belvedere, he's the one. I'm gonna look at him.
Yeah. If it was solely based on that, he would. I think the country has already voted with their money, and they spend tons of money on alcohol and ice cream, and he would win in a landslide.
Yes. I mean, in a mudslide too, if he also invented Kahlua. But okay, I need to look. Dean Phillips, you say.
And he's not even particularly ugly. It's just something about the look. You just look at him and you just go,
I'm gonna look right now.
I don't see a lot of people voting for this guy.
Dean Phillips. Let's see.
Maybe I'm being too judgmental, but
Dean Phillips President. Okay, here we go. I'm running for president as a Democrat.
He's just got a bridge troll kind of look to him.
Oh, I see.
Bulbous nose, everything comes to a big point in the center of his face. I don't know. We're spending way too much time on Dean Phillips's looks.
I don't know though. I'm like, you did a good job of underselling. I don't mind it so bad when I'm looking at it. I say so far, I think we are going to endorse a political candidate this year. So far, it's Dean Phillips. Callers open for suggestions of who we should support.
Well, in other alcohol beverage pivots, Merrick Lager was just introduced to the internet yesterday. This is kind of a late breaking story here.
I saw that and I need to write about it, I suppose. It came in to you sent it to me, I do believe, in like the middle of stuff. And I studied it later. It's such a beautiful can. And Britt is I wouldn't think of him out of the gate as a good beer spokesperson. The picture of him shaping and that can of lager, it was so perfectly blue collar, the best part of America, and not in a weird throwback to whatever, fake times, rose colored. It was like perfectly encapsulated Go out there, do something you love, put your heart into it. When you're done with that, sit down and have a beer, not a bunch of beers, and not like some crazy high ABV IPA, and not something, not a vodka soda. Go have yourself a simple lager. Take a little of the edge off, and then go hug your family. That's what that picture said to me.
Merrick Lager. I think you can see it on Instagram. It links to an actual e-commerce site where you can purchase a 6-pack for $12, $11.99. Might be the smartest pivot that we've ever seen. There was for any small fortunes earned in the surf world, they pale in comparison to the return that those small fortunes got when they invested in St. Archer Brewery or Balter Brewery. The St. Archer deal in San Diego, I think that brewery or beer brand, it was only 3 years old when they sold to Miller Coors. And a lot of the investment
tens of millions.
Yeah, they never disclosed, but from kind of poking around, I saw one of the founders interviewed, and the interviewer said that it's estimated to be that it sold to Miller Coors for $35 million.
Yep.
And he answered the question and said it was 3 times that.
Yeah, I think it was near, from what I heard, and I didn't know or have any inside information, but I thought it was near 100 million. I thought it was like 96 something million.
So that's apparently what it was, close to $100 million. So that St. Archer Brewery was funded by a bunch of the surf and skate world. Everybody chipped in a nominal kind of investment. They put their heart and soul into this beer. They grew the brand really quickly. And within 3 years, the thing sold for $100 million to Miller Coors. I think it was then bought again by somebody else. And then they actually shuttered the brand, I think, last year.
It's out of business. Yeah, there's no more Archer, but who cares? You made your money. Man, yeah.
I mean, you made an insane, like I said, for whatever you made in surfing, pales in comparison to what you made off that deal. And I think Balter Brewery did it as well in Australia with just 4 pro surfers involved in that from the get-go. So this is a super smart pivot from what I can tell, even though it was just introduced yesterday. It just seems like alcohol has been recession proof and has been around since the beginning of time. And people tend to get rich on it, richer than they do off their main business.
The aesthetic of that can too, it is perfectly exactly what you want in your hand when you're hugging your kid. It is when you are finished with your day's chores, when the leaves have been raked. And I mean, the whole thing, like, this is not uncommon. You bring up St. Archer and Balter, but there's been, I feel, a bunch of both beer, like surf brands doing co-label stuff with beer companies. And you see the can and it's like, oh, it's cool. Like Salty Crew does one with I don't know, a brewery down here, whatever, right? Like I see these beers and I never think I'm gonna get that. If I saw Merrick Lager, I would get it specifically for it being Merrick Lager and the way it looks.
The branding looks fantastic. The can does look great. I think the Channel Islands logo, the triple hex is on it as well. Now, I did click on that link and it took me to, I think, Rincon Brewing Company. So this looks like they're just, labeling, probably came up with their own recipe and all that sort of stuff, but labeling the cans for them. I think this is too narrow of a move for Merrick Lager. And even tying itself to lager, I think, is very narrow. So I'm encouraging that team maybe this is just testing the waters and there is a bigger play here, but I think there can be a variety of beers. I think they can be, it's great to start out with Rincon Brewing, but there could be a version of this where it's their own brewery and
They have a beautiful property there. They could for sure throw a still on the property. Get into whiskey, Britt. Come on.
This
Merrick
is big.
whiskey.
This is big. Look at Bethany Frankel. Look at what she did. She's bigger than any other housewife or any of the producers in that in any of that. And it's like she made a ton of money off that in a short period of time too.
Thanks to booze.
Yeah, thanks to booze. Booze is reliable. In other business transitions, I guess somewhat, Kelly Slater has a new surfboard. This got sent to us by every single listener that we have. because it was just almost too funny. Kelly Slater, famous for the Turtle Moon sandal, insert the drop here, has partnered with a new animal to introduce his latest product, which is a surfboard based on the outline of a shark.
It's incredible the amount of lack of self-awareness that Kelly has is what makes Kelly so Kelly. Like, he certainly is very aware. Kelly's not like living in some ivory tower and unaware of the conversation that happens, right? He was very, very aware of the jokes about the Turtle Moon sandal and all of it. Not that he cares or feels one way about it or another, not that he has his feelings hurt, nothing. But what he does is double down in the basically that launch of the Kelly Turtle Moon was this black and white, moody kind of thing. He does the same exact thing, black and white, moody, with his genius idea. And the way he presents his own genius in this clip that I saw in the introduction clip is epic. It is Kelly toying around with this, or whatever. He starts saying, I've been enamored by, did Sam been enamored by? He uses the wrong preposition, whatever it is. I've been enamored by great white sharks for a long time, which all the visuals here are totally funny. And he says, he's been enamored by them, and he clips pictures. He's clipped pictures of them and collected them through the years, right? Imagine
Right.
Kelly flipping through National Geographic. Oh, look at this great white. Clip, 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 clip. Gets the scissors, gets his notebook, 3-ring binder, slips it on in there. And sometimes, he just is flipping through his binder of great white shark photos. There's another one. Oh, look at that one, man. And then he goes Indonesia. And what's his name? Woo. What's his first name? Mike Woo.
Mike Woo. Surf Ads wrote an article about it, and he misnamed him as Mark Woo.
Okay,
it's
Woo.
Mike Woo.
Okay, Mike Woo goes to Mike Woo, and this is Kelly's retelling. Kelly says, "Hey, what if we do a surfboard in the shape of an outline of a great white shark?" And Mike was like, "What, really?" Or something, like blown away by this. And then they got together and figured it out. Where Kelly's contribution to this thing, let's do this. And then Surf Ads beautifully pointed out what they come out with is a surfboard that looks basically like every other, and nothing against the board. I'm sure it goes great or whatever, but it's a full standard 20. Like, there is nothing
high
new
performance
or different.
twin.
Yeah, high performance twin. That's all it is. It's great.
It's not
Good
that.
job.
I mean, it's not all that different than the Aquila IPA version that they introduced a few years ago. Or than any other surfboard brand has a version of. The other thing is the leading kind of marketing point being that it's the silhouette of a great white. Every surfboard silhouette is. You know what I mean? Like, it's as much like a great white as anything else, in that it's almost nothing like a great white, or it's barely like a great white. It gets wide at a certain point and it gets narrow, but it's not nearly as narrow as a great white. And it's also not nearly as wide as a great white. It happens to be that the nose comes to a point and the tail comes to a point, but the distribution of that is totally different. The wing in the tail of the surfboard doesn't exist in a great white. So it's vaguely reminiscent of a great white or any other fish in the sea or any other whale in the sea, just as every other surfboard is. You know what I mean?
It's so amazing.
It's not anything like a great white at all.
I mean, Kelly too, the fact that he, like, with the Turtle Moon, there was no, like, that connection between the turtle and the moon is obviously completely made up. Neither of those things make for, or he didn't address any function of it, right? Like, the turtle shell is known for its comfort, or the moon is known for its ecologicalness, or there was no connection. Just like there's no connect. It wasn't like we based it on a shark because we've really studied these great whites, and what we see is the hydrodynamic way that a great white moves in a wave is very specific, and it's nothing. It just, exactly as you said, it looks like, or doesn't look like, a great white shark, exactly like every other surfboard does or doesn't, and that's it. There was no even function to it applied. It was just,
there was no dorsal fin attached. There were no side fins attached. There was no additional back rudder fin attached that was different or unique in any way, or even to say that the skin on a shark has a certain texture that allows it to whatever. And so we've put this texture on the surfboard itself. There's zero of that. It was strictly
Nothing.
the silhouette was the reference point. Um,
But Mike Wu being blown away and Kelly's retelling, like of Kelly going up and saying, "Hey man, I'm gonna drop a bomb on you right now, and maybe sit down. What if we do this?" Mike Wu,
well,
mind blow.
so all that said, the board looks sick. I mean, the board looks fun. Like in terms of a design, I'm
Great,
like that
totally.
looks super rippable and fun. I get it. The marketing of it is kind of where you and I are poking fun. The other thing is the reason why every listener sent it to us was, of course, because of the Turtle
The
Moon
tournament.
sandal and the great fun that we've had with the meme that exists that references it. Unfortunately, there's no such shark meme that I can pull to make fun of this for an extended period of time. The only adjacent thing would be Baby Shark, which nobody
Yeah.
wants to hear that song
No.
even one more
No.
time in their life. So
Yep.
while I appreciate everybody sending this to me and I want to be able to create a new drop that we can play, nobody wants to hear Baby Shark.
So, but please, dear listener, if you know something, if you have a meme in the back of your mind, because there's got to be a shark meme out there, send them on
I
in.
don't think there, yeah, I mean, I really thought long and hard, and I don't think that there is, but yeah, maybe the listeners know better than I.
The other thing about that is Kelly and the like saying about the great white was pulled so much focus to hilarity. The board does look good, but also Kelly's ripping on it too, which
Yeah.
you don't think about it. I mean, I was giggling so hard at him doing the great white thing that like only on like the fourth watching, because I was trying to get exactly what he said to make fun of it on Beach Grit. Uh, but only like on the fourth or fifth or sixth watching, I was like, oh, whoa. Kelly is like shredding this thing.
Yeah. Well, they've got their marketing mileage out of us right now,
Yeah.
talking about that surfboard. We talk more about that surfboard than we've talked about a lot of other surfboards that we actually love.
Kelly's giggling right now. I know what I'm doing.
Exactly. There's no such thing as bad publicity. Well, kind of a big and more, I don't know, serious, worth discussing news story that just broke on Instagram in the last 72 hours was, quote, cop on quad bike almost crushes two little girls playing on Oahu Beach. This footage emerged on Instagram via Kahea Hearts Instagram account, and it shows a cell phone video of somebody filming officers on quads at V-Land in very, very deep sand on a slant, like super slopey beach at the moment, and kids just playing in the sand, minding their own business, and the cops that are on patrol, one of which they go from kind of a standing still position, sitting still position to a female cop guns it for some reason and like starts fishtailing, aiming for the two little girls. The camera person seemed to be scared enough that she actually like put the camera down, thinking that the woman was heading directly at the children that are playing obliviously, but avoids them by what looks like mere feet and then comes to a stop after the fact. And the people on the beach, I think the mom of those kids
Was swimming.
addresses the situation. Like she was in the water and she turns around and sees what looks like the cop headed directly at her children and goes to berate the cop, it looks like, and that's where the video cuts out. What are your thoughts on this, and what do you know beyond what the video shows?
Oh man, I mean, there was the Beach Grit commentary on that one was good. There was a lot of, I feel, people who live on Oahu and in Hawaii talking about this, cops on quads on the beach and how unnecessary it kind of is. Like, where if you're going to patrol the beach, it should be at night. There's no real crime happening on these, especially kind of family beaches in the day. Where yeah, it just seems like and as pointed out in Beach Grit comments too, a wild like misspending of tax dollars of like, the Honolulu Police Department is allotted a certain amount of money and they probably have to spend it on, this, that, and the other thing. And so it's just like, it seems like bureaucracy gone wrong, where you then two girls, and it's legit. If she would have slammed him going as fast as she was, there would have been major, we thankfully can talk about it without talking about it as a tragedy, right? Because the girls were very little and she was going very quick on that thing and clearly untrained, didn't know how to ride in sand. You shouldn't be doing your training where there's any people around, or if you need to do your training there, somebody should have cleared the girls out, right? They should have said, hey, we're doing a training exercise here, and could you guys move further up the beach or whatever, right? Like there was, I mean, and to her credit, I suppose the cop went and seemed like she was thoroughly apologetic for what happened. But man, you can't apologize if you actually whack someone.
Yeah, the micro problem here is it does look like this was one cop who did not have control of the ATV, gunned it in a super sandy, slopey situation and lost control momentarily. And in one of those moments, looked like she was aiming directly at these children and didn't have, I mean, thankfully she did gain control, but she was going too fast. She was going too fast. She was out of control, period, full stop. So she needs more training. And, but it brought to light the larger problem that I saw Pizel post this. I saw a number of people who live on the North Shore kind of posting and talking about it, and they have skin in the game. The larger problem being, look, this wasn't lifeguards on duty. Yeah. This was Honolulu Police Department coming in to enforce something. So it reminded me that we've seen videos also of parties getting out of control on the beach in Hawaii and leaving trash behind and all that sort of stuff. And so it's like, gosh, if it's gotten to the point where this is paradise and now people want to come party in paradise and they ruin it, and now the result of that is that cops have to come and enforce to make sure that that doesn't happen, that is unbelievably annoying. And so the North Shore has generally done a good job at keeping it country, and like preventing those parties, or at least instilling respect in visitors to not do the parties so that the police don't have to come and enforce it. And so I like the social media aspect of this. I like Kahea Hart taking to social media to bring this to light. And in this case, it's to shame the cop. But in the past, it's been to shame the party goers, to prevent the cops from ever needing to come in the first place,
Yeah, totally. And I mean, I was thinking about it as watching that clip. You never see a Hawaii lifeguard out of control on, I've never seen footage. I've spent quite a bit of time on the North Shore. Never once seen like a lifeguard who looked incompetent on their quad. But it is a bummer that now cops have to be introduced because of whatever the social thing that's happening there. But yeah, it just seems unnecessary. Like, I get that I suppose that there needs to be a presence so people don't get out of control, but it doesn't seem like that presence needs to be up and down the beach. Like, how can you not be in the parks and just, around?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, you don't need to patrol unless there's a situation going down.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. The lifeguards, I get, right? They're always vigilant. A situation could develop like that. There's not, if like a big brawl breaks out on the beach all of a sudden, I could see if there was like a gathering that is, somebody was throwing a big party, and then so a police presence shows up, something like that. But just for no reason, just to be running up and down thinking you're going to catch crime.
Well, the other thing is you never see the lifeguards going that fast unless there's an emergency in the water happening at the moment. Like, they're never gunning it like that. So patrolling is one thing, but why would you be gunning it unless you
she just didn't know. She was totally clueless. Like, she clearly did not know what she was doing and got stuck. And then her reaction to getting stuck was to throttle it to get out, and then didn't she was already wrong at that point.
Right. Yeah. Scary little video. But one of the exciting things that came out of this was seeing Kahea Hart posting this Instagram video shirtless doing dishes.
It was such a good flex of, I don't know why he thought that was the time, but it was a great, we see so many of these 2-camera confessional things. And typically nothing's going on. The person is holding the phone or has the phone set up and is talking directly to the phone. Kara had stuff to do, man. He had people coming over later, had to get this video out, also had to get the dishes done.
I don't know his age, but that guy is in incredible shape, and I understand why he would do all of his confessional videos and address every issue in his life shirtless.
Sure, completely. Kahea Hart, don't put it back on.
No. Impressive body. You see his face and you're like, oh, he's aged a bit. And then you see his body and you're like, nope. Is that a 24-year-old gym rat posting this video right now?
Yep.
And the other thing I was thinking about with the 4-wheelers is, remember 3-wheelers?
Yeah. Those
When we
things
were
were
kids, they had a three-wheeler.
people. I mean, in Coos Bay, Oregon, the dunes are right there. So people would always, all my buddies had three wheelers, and those things were like straight tippy over death traps.
Full death trap, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely maim trap. If not dying on it, you are going to end up with that thing on top of you in at some point. It was just a foregone conclusion. And I don't know who was the idiot in the automotive industry or whatever industry that is that was like, okay, we've got two-wheel motorcycle or we have four-wheel vehicles. You know what we need?
Three.
Something in between
There
that is
there must
liable to tip.
there must be something pretty fun about it, because a quad is, you're going up the dunes and whatnot, you're riding. I think it's like you can't like maneuver as much as those three wheelers. I think with the tipping over, you get some extra control in there. I mean, you're going to tip it, but you're going to be able to push to the point of tipping.
Yeah, it was an idiotic idea, and I think it was smart that we got rid of them. I had a three-wheeler when I was a kid, and the thing was you couldn't go fast on it. You just didn't. Yeah, and it's different than seeing a trike on the street that where like the fork is extended, and so that creates stability. The three-wheel off-roaders had big fat tires on them that were just liable to tip. Like you were limited to going 15 miles an hour, basically.
I'll tell you the thing that I don't understand, full stop, is those new two-wheel in front, one wheel in back motorcycles.
Yeah.
They're not new. They've been around for whatever. The whole point, as far as I'm concerned, of riding a bike on the street is splitting lanes. Like, if you want to be outdoors, there's a thing called a convertible. Those ones, and if a listener has one, I would love to know why. What's the point of those things where you're a car, and imagine you're stuck in traffic now. You can't split lanes. You are stuck in traffic, just sucking in exhaust, just sitting out there naked, just alone on your weird three-wheeler motorcycle, breathing smoke.
Totally vulnerable to all the elements without any of the protection and without the benefit of splitting lanes.
I honestly, every time I see one, I think, what made you go into the store and think, I want a motorbike, but I don't want all the good stuff a motorbike can do. I want the like less cool stuff of a motorbike. I want it to look lame to begin with, and then I want to just like be lame.
Yeah, it is weird. I don't even know what those things are called.
Yeah,
reverse trike.
Yeah, something weird.
The other hilarious story that we could thank Derek for breaking on the internet. Calum Robson, former world number 6. I don't think he finished 6th this year. I could be wrong, but he finished number 6 at some point. Might have been this year. Doesn't have a sponsor on his board. Ripping Australian surfer, but through the structures of the surf industry currently has no sponsors and had some big results on the WSL, one of which was a 10-point ride in Portugal. He won for that 10-point ride a Yeti Tundra, which we never really even discussed throughout the season, even though it was ripe for what we do here. He won a Yeti Tundra for getting a 10 in a surf contest. Yeti's a sponsor of the WSL. This week, it was revealed that Calum is selling the Yeti on Facebook Marketplace for $550. So essentially, his trophy that he won from a surf contest selling on Facebook Marketplace.
The best part, Derek did a really wonderful job with this story, as he does with most or all of his, in terms of breaking it down. It was this Yeti cooler that you would assume the WSL would give the 10-point ride earner the best of the Yeti coolers. No, this one is the mid-tier one. Like, so they don't even give them I think there's one that costs like $900. This one's, I think, the $500 one.
There's one that's 1,100.
Yeah. So, even if you won that one, and Yeti, it's a great brand, great company, nothing against Yeti. It's touch the World Surf League and get totally soiled is the lesson here. But because now a Yeti cooler becomes a punchline of a joke that it shouldn't have even been involved in the first place. But imagine this. Somebody pointed out in the comments, I think also, those Yeti coolers are big and heavy. Calum won it in Portugal. That meant he had he had to for sure check it. Can't carry that thing on. So this is a long, however many board coffins he has, however much luggage he has. He now has one extra piece to check. He has to drag that thing all the way to Australia. Like, imagine the WSL just gave a giant hassle to somebody. Like, I get bringing a cooler somewhere if you want to, you have your food or whatnot, and that's great. And cooler is good for that. Imagine winning one when you don't want one and then being stuck with it, but it being so nice that you can't just leave it.
Yeah.
Like, you
Well, unless they
gotta
shipped
take
it. I
it.
mean, they could just have Yeti's fulfillment center ship it directly to his door, not give it to him in Portugal.
Knowing the World Surf League, they gave it to, because they had one that they would show it off, right? It would be in the broadcast booth. I bet they said, Caleb, here you go, pal. Go enjoy.
Well,
Get some Merrick loggers in there.
we didn't spend enough time on it even now, but the idea of you get a 10-point ride in a surf contest, the greatest organization on the planet for surfing, the arbiters of quality surfing, right? You get their pinnacle score. And as a return, a reward for that, you get a $550 cooler.
And they're going to talk about it. They're not just going to give it to you secretly. They're going to like talk it up every time on. They're going to, yeah.
It's insane. It would be like, that would be I don't know what. I mean, getting a hat trick in the NHL maybe, and the NHL says, here's a $550 gift card somewhere. Like, not even $1,000. Like, it's such an embarrassing joke that they, like you said, they celebrated over and over and over again. The fact that we never joked about this throughout the year is crazy, actually.
I mean, and really, truly, I'm sure Yeti will not be back this year. They might have signed like a 3-year and are stuck with it or whatever. But nobody ever returns, if you notice, to the World Surf League. It's because the World Surf League makes a mockery of any brand that comes even within its sphere. From like Bailey ladders, and we talk about no publicity being, I mean, yeah, no, there's no such thing as bad publicity. World Surf League magically turns that on its ear, where they're like, you have now, Yeti is a strong brand, and you have made it a joke. And Bailey ladders, I'm sure, makes a fine product, and you have made a Bailey ladder a punchline. Like, I don't know how being a punchline is good for a brand.
Well, it's made even worse by the fact that the recipient of it is selling it on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, it's really, really a WSL. I'm excited because every year we get a new batch of worse and worse sponsors, save Florence Marine X and Visla. But I'm excited to see who comes on this year that they're going to really, because we've learned now there's no shame, right? They will, I mean, like a cottage cheese brand would sponsor them, and they would be like, Kaipo would be out there eating the cottage cheese. Yeah, giving her and more power. I love it. I love Kaipo for being able to do that. But the World Surf League has no shame. So I'm curious what we're going to get spruiked this year.
Yeah. It's also a shame that one of their World Tour athletes, ranked number 6, needs to sell a Yeti to recoup that 550.
Yeah, I know.
They should have given him a cash prize equivalent.
Yeah, they really should have. They should have given him a sponsor.
Yeah. They should have paid him fairly so that he could keep the Yeti.
Yeah.
I mean, the only Yetis that I've ever had have been gifts, gratefully. I would never buy one on my own, but I am grateful to have them because they are incredible products.
It's an incredible product, that Yeti.
It really is, right? It's remarkable.
I mean, it's best. They took a category that you think, what, and they improved it so wildly much that basically a Yeti cooler is a entirely different thing from, say, an Eskimo cooler or a whatever Coleman cooler.
Although those things got better because Yeti was in the game. Like the new version of the Igloo is pretty incredible too.
Yeah.
But you're right. They revamped it entirely.
Yeah.
By the way, I kept saying that he was ranked 6th because he has that on his Instagram bio line. He finished 20th, and I think he was ranked 6th at some point in the season, maybe after he won bells. And so
I love that he just kept that in his bio line. He just like, I'm not changing it to 20th.
Was ranked 6th at one moment in time.
Yeah.
Do you want a Pros in the Wild story?
Sure do.
All right, let's do it. Hey, DLS and Chaz, about 8 years ago, on my almost yearly trip to Kauai, there was a rare XXL swell in late October. Being from Santa Barbara, I'm no expert in outer reef type stuff, and I didn't bring a board over 6'1". I tend to prefer to look for the sheltered nooks in those massive swells. That said, I have a buddy that lives on Kauai full time. He had been there for almost 20 years at that time, and he's my wingman when I'm on the North Shore, on the north side of the island, and keeps boards there for me. Truth be told, he's not that great of a surfer despite driving a Tacoma 4x4.
Ooh.
On this particular day, I had my sights set on a mythical spot. It was a wave that only exists in lore in the way that so many Misto spots do, and they're on a heavily trafficked surf destination. Only breaks every couple of years, only when it's huge, and it's teeming with locals who are all eager to not only keep you off the waves, but they may even send you home missing a couple of teeth. My buddy declared that he had never surfed it, and he tried actually really hard to direct me to surf elsewhere. There were plenty of other spots that were going to be good, and that wouldn't get him into traction with his mediocre skills, nor with the others living on the island once I left. But I needed to at least see it with my own eyes. So we ventured out in his red dirt covered Tacoma. We parked in a core spot that only a 4x4 would dare to park. And at first glance, the swell and the wave lived up to the hype. It was overhead, draining, doubled up pits that would await you if only you could make the paddle out. As for the other ominous threat of violence, strangely, there was no one around. No one parked nearby, no one entering or exiting the lineup. It somehow felt even more ominous, as if we were being baited into a trap, with spinning tubes in the distant mirage. That said, there was no backing off now. Step one was already complete. We made it there. So we sheepishly snuck over the cliffs to the paddle out spot, half looking over our shoulders the entire time. Step two, complete without an issue. Now, step three, trying to paddle out without getting clobbered. Check. Step four, emerging from the cliffside soup to make it into the clear water and encounter our first locals and hope for the best. My buddy had me so nervous about this part. Even though I've surfed all over the world without incident, I'm pretty good at respecting locals in their foreign locale. But he made this sound like stories of yesteryear, before the threat of lawsuits or police intervention. I grew up on these wild tales of Oxnard and Lunada Bay in the 80s. So back to Kauai. After the melee of entering the ocean, I make one final duck dive to witness relief. I've finally pushed through, and I'm winded, but I finally get to the point where I can sit upright, try to assess the lineup and where I might find my place in it. The locals were all paddling out from the previous set that I had just paddled through, and my plan is to let them paddle right past me while I keep my head down and my eyes out to sea. The first surfer approaches and almost insists that I make eye contact, and I realize that maybe I am being an asshole by not giving a nod and a greeting. So I glance back, and instead of a scowl, I see a big smile, and honestly, maybe the most beautiful smile that I've ever seen, certainly in a lineup. This gorgeous young Hawaiian woman smiles and says, "Hi," and continues to paddle me up the point. I think it's going to be okay. And I tell my buddy when he finally catches up with me, Malia Manuel just welcomed us into the lineup.
Oh, that's a great pro in the wild.
Yeah. He said, by the way, he signed off with Eric in Santa Barbara. He signed off by saying, by the way, Bethany Hamilton was also out that day. And seeing her drop into those square bombs with one arm is something to behold in person. I saw it live and I still can't figure out how she does it.
Yeah, I know. Bethany Hamilton doesn't, I mean, we could talk about Bethany, I think, all day, every day, and still not do what she does justice. It's like, I don't know, people talk about Kelly Slater and blah, blah, blah is the best surfer in the world. I don't know how, I don't know how Bethany does that, because it's not like she's getting towed into, playful beach breaks, or that her inspiration is, that she just kept surfing full stop. She rips and charges. It's like, imagine one arm at a spot like that. Like, and those Kauai, like those places that go square, or that's, there's so much power and craziness out there.
Yeah. Once you're up and riding, I understand that not having an arm does still create an issue once you're up and riding for balance and stuff. But the getting to your feet, the paddling into a crazy wave and getting to your feet in that critical moment is the baffling part for sure. Like
And ripping
that's
it, and
way complicated.
not like way on the shoulder where you're like of a slopey wave, of like a critical wave and getting barreled.
Yeah. Well, I love this story though, because so much of that lore, it's true, right? Like the lore is based in reality. Like there are locals, people get beat up, they get yelled at, all that kind of thing. But also having respect, and I think going through the being scared and all of that instills in you a certain tentativeness that the locals and the people who do live there, they recognize. Like you went through the effort, you made it out into the lineup, you're sitting off to the side, you're minding your own business. That is showing enough respect to then at least get, in this case, a smile from Malia Manuel, but to get respect from the locals, and maybe not welcomed into the lineup, maybe not, maybe you don't end up on set waves or any of that, but just at least going through all of that fear is the right approach.
I mean, completely. And I think too, of course there's bad eggs everywhere and some people are just violent and looking for a fight no matter what. But that is not part of what, in my experience, what like real true Hawaiian localism is. It is demands respect. But if respect is given, then it, I guess respects respect. And I don't think it wants people to be totally spineless. Like that's the thing. It's not, hey, come and you can come to Hawaii and you're maybe allowed to sit by the pool and drink a Mai Tai. And that's as good as you get. No, like I think it like anybody, if somebody's out there trying to get out into a heavy lineup or whatever, as long as you're not in the way or stealing from others, as long as you recognize your place on that totem pole as the very, very, very bottom, I think I've never had a problem paddling out anywhere in Hawaii with, and I'll knock on wood, but because I don't go out to get in the way or go out to get mine, right? I'm out there surfing, but also floating, like
Yeah.
just observing and yeah, knowing that this is not my time to just get any wave I want.
Well, I emailed him back and I said, I'm just dying to know if you got any waves. Like, and if you did you kook it, or like what went down with that session? He replied and said, I got a few swingers and some mid-sized ones. If someone fell, I would then hop on. Mostly I hung in the mid section and waited for swingers. The very top had a pretty obvious pecking order, and I didn't think I could crack it. I was way more tentative than I am when surfing Hanalei. But did I kook it? No, I think I played it about right for the first time out at that location.
Great job.
Yeah,
Good,
that sounds
Mike.
right? That's the right approach.
Yeah,
Just
totally.
go out there with the gratitude to be in the lineup.
Yep.
And then, yeah, if something swings wide or somebody falls, maybe you could sneak in, claw your way into that one. Great, go for it. But just being in that lineup is a special moment. That's a special
well played.
thing.
Well played.
By the way, I got to agree with him. I've never seen a more beautiful smile on any female surfer than Malia Manuel.
It's true. It radiates.
I mean, truly. And that kind of aloha spirit just radiates through it. I saw her one time at San Clemente Pier. There's a coffee shop. I forget the name of the coffee shop, but there's a coffee shop right there. And she was meeting Jeremiah Klein for some, I think it was like a Surfline article or something years and years ago. But I swung in to grab a cup of coffee, and I was either had just surfed or was checking the waves. And she walked up, and it was just like, when people talk about, oh, someone enters the room and it just like all the heads turn. When she walked up, it was just like breathtaking, completely breathtaking.
That's funny. I will not name names, but have seen many a professional skateboarder and maybe even a professional snowboarder get so leveled by meeting her that they're willing to throw relationships and everything away to just go make a run at Malia Manuel.
Wow.
Yep.
That's telling.
Yep. A star
and an incredible surfer too. I always loved when she was on the WCT. I don't know what she's up to now, but okay. Well, let's go to commercial break, and then we will come back with Barrel or Not.
Let's do it.
All right, Chaz, you ready for some barrel or nah? Do you want to do any
I'm
clickbait
excited.
or true grit?
Let's do a clickbait or true grit.
Okay, I've got one of those or two of those queued up. Some articles that I saw that you wrote on beachgrit.com that I would love to know the backstory of and whether or not they are just clickbait. Quote, Bloody Friday on the Big Island as surf school lottery goes horribly wrong, exclamation point.
Rue Grit, David Lee Scales, and this does seem like it went horribly wrong. One of the main tourist beaches in the Big Island. Now, I've never been to the Big Island, so I don't really know, but Kahalua, I think it's called. I can't remember. Kahalua Bay, maybe. Uh, so they were, I guess, there were too many surf schools. The Hawaii Public, Department of Land and whatever was like, hey, we're going to do a lottery. We're going to give 4 slots to surf schools. And so I think there were 17 surf schools that entered the lottery. It was the kind of bingo bouncing ball style of lottery. They picked the 4 balls. 3 of the balls belong to one dude who started his various surf schools in 2021. And so there's one of these surf schools was started in 98. A lot of these were like locals who have born and raised there. So this guy and it was all legal. It was all fully on the up and up, right? He made 3 different LLCs for, that he entered properly, whatever, followed all the protocols, did it right. But won 3 out of the 4 bouncing or 4 slots for permits to run surf schools there, which is a bummer, but also, and kind of funny, but also not, because all those surf schools have been there since 98 and stuff. Their living now is gone, right? Like, you're not allowed to operate there. Like, imagine having which hopefully they hedge for, hopefully if there's 4 slots and there's 17 that you didn't go in thinking this is like a guarantee, but still, for 3 of the 4 to go to one operator that basically started in 21 seems very like not a miscarriage of justice. It was all legal, but seems like a real disaster.
Wow, that is
Yeah.
kind of a wild story. I wonder if his main ambition with entering that many times was just so that he could sell them off.
No, because
Like
they
sell
said
off the license.
you can't. Like, the way it is if you don't want the license, then it goes to the next person on the waiting list. So there's no monetizing the license itself. It didn't seem from the article. It seems like you actually have to you either use it and your school operates, or if you're not going to use it, then it goes to the next in line. And he couldn't even think, even if he thought, oh man, like I got 3, I'm going to give one to the one that started in 98 by the locals, right? You can't do that either, because I think they were like way down the waiting list. If you give one up, it just goes to the next person on the waiting list. That's it.
Brutal.
Yep. So true grit, real sad.
Real sad. Underreported on story, in fact.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'll give you another one then. Quote, Kelly Slater's girlfriend appears to clap back at Shakira after singer ensnares surf champ in thirst trap.
Well, Kelly Slater did get ensnared in a Shakira thirst trap. Remember when Shakira was breaking up with Gerard Pique?
Yeah,
or
I
Pique,
do.
or whatever his name is, soccer player. Soon thereafter, she went on Instagram and started following people. And I think did it publicly and followed Kelly Slater on Instagram. Well, lo and behold, there was a photo of her showing off her leg before I think, Latin Grammys event. And who was it liked by but Kelly Slater, ensnared in the Instagram thirst trap. And so I wrote that story. And then there was a video of somebody who looked very much like Kelly Slater, so much like Kelly Slater that I was almost convinced that it was, and his girlfriend clapping back at Shakira. The girlfriend said, you may be in his DMs, but you're not in his police report. We're not the same. So the best part about this was, yes, clickbait. But on my Instagram, because I posted on Instagram too, so many people, that's not Kelly, you clown. And then my response is, are you sure? Yes, that is not Kelly. Like, people's inability, unwillingness to see any kind of, not that this was funny, I'm not saying it was funny, but clearly it's not Kelly. But yeah, like it's I guess that's the state of the world we live in. Sometimes I wonder why things are the way they are. And then the answer is because people comment on fake Kelly Slater videos with "That's not Kelly, you clown."
Well, obviously, I feel like that video is so ridiculous and comical that you just wanted an opportunity to use that video
Completely.
and to make a joke about that being Kelly Slater. But when I watched it, I couldn't figure out, was that girl serious? Like,
I think she
was
was
she
serious.
sincerely proud to be more associated with this criminal whose lap she's sitting on than the other girl who's in his DMs?
Yes, we're not the same.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I've done criminal stuff with this guy, or at least he beat me up, and so I'm in the or whatever. However, she entered the police report. We are not the same.
It's insane.
Yeah,
I
Kelly
marveled. I
Slater.
was like, this, if this is a
Some,
skit, I also don't understand why they're doing the skit, but they cannot be dead serious that she's proud to be in this guy's police report.
I mean, I
Super.
feel some things like that are just, however they can become surf adjacent. You just got to get them rammed in so
Yeah.
the wider surf world can appreciate.
Rather than just repurposing a meme, you got to tie some surf adjacency to it to write an
Exactly.
article. Okay, I've got to share my screen with you. Let me see how I do this. There it is. Share sound, barrel or nah, coming from the listener line for you. I need to turn my volume on.
I got a barrel or nah. Yo, what up, David, Chaz? This is a call for the grit. I got a barrel or nah. I want to know, what do you guys think about tandem surfing? I remember the first time I ever saw it in the wild. It was the first time I ever paddled out at Malibu. Saw two people take off doing their acrobatic act, and I'm thinking, oh man, they're about to get sent in. That's so kooky. But instead, everyone was hooting and hollering, and they were so psyched, and I couldn't believe it. So I gotta ask, what do you think, barrel or nah? Tandem surfing. Later.
Tandem surfing was huge when I first got into surfing.
It was a thing. There was like competitions and stuff.
Yeah.
Sterling Spencer just did the funniest compilation. Did you see his tandem surf compilation?
No, I didn't.
Oh yeah, he on his Instagram, it was very, very funny. It was like, I think the context was the way he gets rid of girlfriends. And it was a bunch of tandem surfer guys just throwing their girl partner into the water. Like it was very, very funny. Worth a
Like
find.
the way that Spencer breaks up with surfing with girlfriends.
Yes,
Not
it was
to,
very,
okay,
yeah, very, very funny. But in any case, I'm going to go no barrel because I'm going to stay consistent here, David Lee Scales. And my consistency is surfing in and of itself is already a gimmick. Adding a gimmick onto a gimmick now is one gimmick too many, right? And so that's why I am anti surfing Santa. I am not like anything where it's a gimmick onto surfing. Surfing's already the gimmick. It's already gimmicky. But like if you thought surfing was serious and now you're adding something else to it, that like you're already on the wrong foot. Surfing is the gimmick.
Totally agree. Tandem surfing is definite no barrel. It's wildly impressive. But it is about the gymnastics of the acrobatics. Executing that is its own art and its own thing. To do it on a wave only wastes the wave and clogs the lineup, and you're on this giant boat of a board that doesn't serve any purpose at all. So it's like it really is almost flying in the face of surfing. Like it almost is utilizing surfing just for your own thing. That is, so do the own thing on land. It's impressive that you could do it, but you're just clogging up the lineup. I don't need you out there. It's a joke.
I don't even care if you're doing it on a lake. If you take your giant sup thing and go out onto a lake or go way out back the lineup and like do your, acrobatics on the water, if that's what you want to do, that's cool. You want to, because the wave, it's not like you're not using the wave at all. The wave is only moving you, but you're not like in the critical part of the wave doing anything cool. Like if I would maybe revisit this whole topic if somebody paddled in at Chopu and got on somebody's shoulders out there and stood in the barrel, both of them, one on the other's shoulders, stalling. Like then I would say, oh, okay. I mean, that's weird. It's still a gimmick on top of a gimmick, but
You'd be more
a feat.
You'd be more impressed with them, but than you are with the guy doing it on Huntington Beach, but it's still not the right way to ride that wave or the best way to ride that wave or the most progressive way to advance surfing, you know?
I mean, I guess if
The
you had
joke.
one guy on the shoulders at Chopu and one was like in charge of the stalling, like just really double dragging, hands, but real tenderly, like while the other was really working on getting the speed, and it was just this perfect synthesis of stall speed, maybe I'd give it to them.
You know what? They could use their efforts for a greater good. This is just showing off. But you know where I want to see them use their efforts? Woman get on the guy's shoulder, put a big trench coat on, and go get a movie ticket, and you only pay one for, and you get in. Two people get in for the price of one.
Boom.
People used to use that gimmick all the time to save money on things. I haven't seen them do that in a long time. Throw the trench coat on, a bucket hat, sunglasses, and buy a movie ticket.
Done. One for the price of two.
Exactly.
Joke's on them.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Okay. Barrel or non number 2 coming at you in regard to Thanksgiving, but you can also take this broader. Midday nap.
Ooh, I'm a no barrel on the midday nap unless you are sick. The midday nap will feel so good getting in, destroys the rest of your day. Destroys it. Nobody ever wakes up from a midday nap refreshed. Nobody gets up and says, that's just what the doctor ordered, unless you're sick. If you are a healthy specimen, you are going to wake up groggy and grouchy. It's going to take you, a good couple hours to re-find your footing. And then that night, you are not going to be able to go to sleep till very late, which is going to put you in a vicious cycle of the regular midday nap, which equals exactly that you were 78 years old.
Yeah. Through college years, I got in the habit of midday napping. And I was a big advocate and I loved it, but it is so foreign to me now.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot imagine having the time, number one, or I haven't felt in years
tired enough to legitimately need a nap.
Yeah. Unless you're sick. Sick is the one outlier here. But like the amount of time that it takes to get into a nap, right? Like you don't just sit down and fall asleep. Like even if you've stayed up all night on something, you don't just it takes daytime napping for an adult. It's a process to get in. You got to sit down, you got to put the phone away. It's, stuff you're scrolling and whatnot. You're never going to get tired. So you got to look at the ceiling and close your eyes. And it's a long process, both in and out. Who has that time? And then the wake up, the out of it is a big groggy period as well. So it really throws a kink in your day. For the 45 minutes that you get, it's a 3-hour kind of ordeal ultimately. And so who has that time? I'm jealous, by the way, of those who can do it and those that do have the time. It's so foreign to me now. You know who does it religiously, but is also 75 years old? One Matt Warshaw is a day napper, set the clock for the day nap. Does he, how long is the nap? I don't know, but he has it as a real science. I know that he it's like his thing. It's like part of his day, part of his process is the day nap. Interesting. Yeah. He'll even so much as where I've been with him in Seattle and okay, I got to go. I got to get the nap in before I pick up Teddy. Yeah. I wonder if that just hit him later in life though. I can't imagine he was doing that through his 30s. Well, we'll have him on the show and see. It's been far too long since we've had Matt Warshaw on the show. Okay. Well, Thanksgiving is happening and everybody gets tryptophaned out, or so they think. But I think I think it's more a matter of they eat too much. It's like it's a coma from volume intake and fatty and sugary intake, probably. Drink a Red Bull. There you go. Barrel or nah, number 3. Hosting or going to Friendsgiving. No barrel. Wow, we have a rare 3 and out this week on the day we're supposed to be thankful, or almost the day we're supposed to be thankful adjacent. I hate Friendsgivings, David Lee Scales. Hate the concept. Hate every part of it. Hate it. And I get the conceit is we're going to be with folks during the holidays. So us friends are going to get together. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. That's cool. Get together with your friends. Just call it getting together with your friends. You don't need to do weird stuff, man. You don't need to add layers of faux Thanksgiving onto this Friendsgiving. Just get together with your bros and call it that.
Say I'm getting together with my friends, and then I have Thanksgiving too.
By the way, that reminds me of a meme I'm going to try to pull up that I just saw before we started. So I'm going the opposite direction. I'm going barrel on this one because I don't get enough Thanksgiving meals throughout the year. It's a meal that I love. I only have it once a year. So if I could have it twice a year, even if it's in the same month, I'm down for it. And this year, we had friends who organized and hosted it weeks ago. So it wasn't like do Thanksgiving on Thursday, then go to Friendsgiving on Saturday, and those meals are 2 days away from one another. This was at the beginning of November. You really didn't even see it coming. It really just like, it was a delightful entry into the month of November to get that meal early and be like, man, I love this meal. And it's good to see your friends.
Cook that meal, invite your friends. Do not call it Friendsgiving. And if somebody says, oh, this is a Friendsgiving, say, absolutely not. We are having dinner. What's for dinner tonight happens to be turkey and mashed potatoes and stuffing. That's dinner food. You, my friends, are coming over to dinner. It's no more than that. This is not we don't need the word Friendsgiving layered on here.
I don't like the name.
It's awful. Friendsgiving.
It's two words mashed together, but they don't harmonize.
There's no meaning. And friends doesn't rhyme with thanks. Like,
yeah.
It's not like it's Hanksgiving or something.
No, it doesn't harmonize. The meme that I saw this morning, some guy who works in the tech field, it was a tweet or an X, I should say, if that's what we're calling it now. He said, I've been thinking about IRL podcasts. Has anybody tried this? Bring a few friends together, no mics, nothing is recorded, have free form conversation. Maybe you can even have food and drinks. And somebody replied,
Real
they're
good.
just like, this tech nerd just discovered hanging out for the first time.
That's real good. Yeah.
This tech nerd who doesn't
IRL
podcast, he thinks that he's inventing something.
Don't even record it, man. You're just gonna hang out and talk.
Freeform conversation, bro.
We should do an IRL podcast. I was thinking about this the other day. We've discussed it before. Do you think how many people would come if we did a IRL podcast?
Well, a lot. I mean, people do it successfully all the time, like do live podcasting.
You don't want to do that?
I do, in theory, I do want to do it. It's just one more thing that I have to do.
What if we did it as a Friendsgiving, though? What if we had our Friendsgiving podcast?
There is a bigger play here, like engaging. What I think the bigger play is engaging with fans on a, in person and on a, I don't know, a meaningful way, and having more opportunities to do like community interaction, I think is a great idea. And so if that means doing live podcasts periodically and traveling around, maybe even, I do like that.
Let's do a Friendsgiving. We can have it be a potluck style where we can assign to people who are going to come, or we'll do a sign up sheet. We'll have 2 different mashed potatoes, 2 yams, turkey, ham.
Everybody brings their cardboard boxes. We'll do a bonfire hosing down. A group hosing of the cardboard boxes.
Perfect.
All right. Well, enjoy your Thanksgiving, and send my regards to the family. Send my thanks to them.
You too, David Lee Scales. Thanks to your family, and thanks to Lauren for. I'm sure you guys have a comfortable couch there. I'd thank her for that. That's nice to have when you sit down on a couch that's comfortable. It's nice.
I'm always grateful for that.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening. Go to beachgrit.com. Go to @surfjournalist if you want to see what Chaz is up to. Go to @Surf Splendor if you want to see what I am up to. Go to YouTube if you want to see us talk and leave a comment there. And I guess that's it. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Until next week.
Keep work.
All right. Thank you, sir.